Hello and welcome to Unlocking Success, Transform Your Automotive Dealership with Atmosoft. I'm your host, Natasha, and joining us today is Bill Moore, the COO of Atmosoft and a seasoned solutions architect. Together, we'll explore how Atmosoft can elevate your technology in the automotive industry. We will be having a Q&A segment at the end, but feel free to post your questions as you think of them. Let's dive right in and discover the exciting possibilities.
All right. Next slide, please. All right. Let's talk a little bit about our business. As Natasha stated, my name is Bill Moore. I'm the CEO and Chief Solutions Architect for Atmosoft. I'm the person that helps find the best technical solutions for your business and then drives the implementation team to get the work done and deliver for you. Atmosoft has been around for about 4 years. We specialize currently in working with clients and partners in the automotive industry and servicing and supporting government contracts for the DoD and the DOE. We currently have a staff of about 8 employees. Natasha is our lead UI UX designer. Brandon is a senior level developer. Amber is the owner of the company. She's the one in the black there. And anyway, what we do is help companies adopt better technical practices, help their development teams improve efficiencies and deliveries, and then help consumers or help customers kind of streamline and get their business running with better technical implementations. So that's Atmosoft, kind of in a nutshell. That's a brief introduction to the team. Again, we want to thank everyone for attending. And Tasha, if you want to move to the next slide. All right. So this is the 4 areas that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about legacy system assessment, custom software development, legacy systems integration, and cloud migration. So, yep. And so let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right. So first, I want to talk briefly about legacy systems, and we'll just go over kind of what our definition of a legacy system is. Pretty much, as soon as your code is deployed into production and being used by your user base, whether that's internal, external, you're kind of migrated into the legacy system space, even if you're not all the way done tinkering with the bits and bytes in your legacy system. As soon as the product has been developed and deployed and is in active use, it's kind of my definition of what a legacy system is. And this is any software that your organization has been using for a long time. Now, a lot of people will come in and they'll tell you, oh, you need to redo this, or you need to remove this legacy system or get rid of that. Our stance is, if it's working and kind of doing the job that you need it to do, that's not necessarily, doesn't always need to be the case. Maybe the legacy system just needs to have a little bit of attention paid to it, maybe some minor code updates, improvements in architecture, better deployment models. There's lots of options there. When we're talking about legacy systems, we kind of offer 4 subcategories there. First is the legacy system assessment. This is where we come in and we take a look at your existing systems, preferably systems, and your existing processes, and identify areas for improvement. So we're going to go in and we're going to assess, is the legacy system still meeting the needs of the organization? Does the legacy system or the software package that you're using still do everything that you need it to do? Are there new additional features that would be of value to the business that maybe if you added to your legacy system, they would help your business run more efficiently and increase your bottom line revenue? Next, we go into the road mapping, the strategic road mapping phase. Now, what this is we talk about your legacy systems. So we always have a place where we have to start. So we're going to start on the map, and we're going to start here, and we want to get to here. And that's what the strategic roadmap is. We have a legacy system. Maybe we want to get rid of it entirely. Maybe we want to reduce the use in the business as we migrate over to another platform. Maybe we want to add improvements to the legacy system. Maybe we want to improve the security, improve the code, improve the functionality. And so we take an in-depth look at the business, how the business is utilizing the legacy software, and then we help you evaluate what you can do moving forward. So legacy systems still need attention. If you have a legacy system that's been running for a while, I guarantee that there's some things that need to that you need to go in and take a look at. There's a lot of new security vulnerabilities out there. There's a lot of integration vulnerabilities, and just old code that's been modified a lot of times starts to show wear and tear. I like to kind of think about it as systemic entropy. So as we progress through time, even as human beings, as we age, our bodies become less efficient, and things start to break down and kind of go wrong. You'll see that same behavior in a legacy system. You'll start, this process, because our data has grown so drastically. This process that used to only take 2 minutes now takes hours. Right? Those type of processes need to be evaluated. And one of the first kickback solutions is, we'll just run this batch process at night. Everything will be better in the morning, and that's kind of a temporary band-aid for a little while. So the strategic roadmap kind of guides you from where you are to where you want to get to be, and that's done by having conversations, taking a look at your existing infrastructure, evaluating your existing infrastructure, and offering you options to move in a direction for the business. Again, I want to lay this out front. We're never pushing for you to get rid of your legacy system. So we're not that type. I've seen consultants come in, and the first thing they say to you is, you need to rewrite this. I am not a firm believer in greenfield development at all. I'm not saying it doesn't ever need to happen, but I've seen greenfield, for those of you who are unaware, is when you take an existing product and you do a complete rewrite. And there's a ton of risk in doing that approach. And so you want to handle that. You want to evaluate all those risks extremely carefully. Launching a completely new product and making sure it's 100% backwards compatible and has all the features and all the bugs exercised out of it. Majority of time I've seen has resulted in large failures or extended deadlines. The next topic we want to cover and talk about, another service inside the legacy systems category, is custom software development. And how this fits in with legacy systems is you may not need to replace your legacy systems, but there is custom software work that you can do to improve the system's integration with other systems in the organization, as well as with external vendors that don't require actually touching the legacy system. There's patterns and design and enterprise level architecture that you can do to take advantage of in custom software development, where you can build a small piece. So we're not building a completely new product. We're kind of, you can kind of think it's not exactly an add-on, because it kind of depends on the product. If you're using Microsoft CRM, you can do an add-on, solutions like that. But it's not kind of an add-on, but you can kind of think about it like an external piece of external application that's doing some work to help your systems and data flow more efficiently through the enterprise. And so that's not a complete rewrite, but it is adding some new pieces into the puzzle, which can allow you to extend the life of the legacy system and improve your ability of your organization to integrate, and also improve the ability for your organization to get at the data they need. A lot of organizations we work with will be dual entering data into multiple systems, right? That's kind of an error-prone process. Humans make mistakes. Record in system A doesn't match record in system B, which is the system of truth. Where do we, if we have to get customer information, this system is always right and this system is wrong sometimes because the data doesn't get entered in correctly. You want to reduce both the time cost of working with multiple systems and inputting the same data, and you want to reduce the likelihood of kind of making a mistake, and then your data doesn't align correctly. And then when you go to do reporting and you're pulling data from multiple systems, you got to make all sorts of adjustments because your data is not exactly matching, so you have that kind of a data mismatch. Number 4, we go in and we talk about legacy system modernization. So again, this is a strategy that you could take where you can improve the code, migrate the code to a newer version of .NET. Let's just say you're on .NET, and you can work on migration to get that into in the exact same application in .NET Core. Take advantage of some new programming and language features. Also, there are external things that you can do. There's different integration points, right? You can integrate with the database, you can integrate with an API. You can some cases you can integrate directly with the application itself, by sending command line arguments or adding in some automation. So there are some modernizations you can do around your legacy system that don't necessarily have to completely replace your legacy system. And so when we talk about modernization, we're talking about best practices in security, best practices with passwords, best practices with what data we're showing, best practices of what data is going over the wire. Are we masking? Are we protecting PPI, which is or PII, which is personal identifiable information? So if we're just plain text shipping XML documents around that contain customer information, we want to start eliminating risks like that, because back in the day when the legacy system was written, that was probably not a big concern, because it wasn't that many years ago where this kind of security was kind of an add-on kind of feature, like you do the development and then you would come back and say, okay, now we need to start locking things down. Now we develop more in a security focused a security first kind of model where we're constantly taking into consideration security, authentication, authorization, and then exchanging data, and then getting your systems integrated again with the standalone app or an API that pulls data from two systems and kind of centralizes it and gives you a common view of the data across the enterprise. These are kind of some of the things you can do with modernization, as well as a lot of times you can go in, an organization has the original source code for the application they're running. In some cases, they don't. I've run into that scenario a couple of times, and but you have the code for the application, and we can go in and we can take a look and we can apply all these best practices to your existing code base, usually pretty quickly, and kind of tighten down or kind of bring your legacy system more to what are the current industry standards, security, code, architecture, and that kind of thing. And once we get in there, there's a lot of options here. And I don't think a lot of companies realize how many options there are. I think they get on a platform or they get onto they're using their legacy software. It's doing what they need. And then they're just not thinking about it. And then they think, oh, if I need to do a new version or I need to update or something, this is, it's going to cost a ton of money. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. There's a ton of options here for both integration, modernization, and building you small, tiny custom pieces or small, tiny custom automations that just make the overall workflow go faster. And that's one of the things that we really like. Again, our motto is kind of like, we love legacy systems here. Legacy systems are great. I love working with older code. I know that sounds weird, and not a lot of developers will say that, but there is an inherent challenge in keeping a web forms application running, after web forms have been out of, main practice for, going on 15 years. There's not a lot of people have a deep understanding of legacy system, of web forms. I kind of grew up in that space, so I'm really aware of how that works, and we love applying the newer strategies that we've learned as we've grown in the industry to older software. And there's always something you can do. And the other thing I'd like to stress here is the valuation portion of things that we offer for businesses is free. We'll come in, we'll take a look, we'll give you a little bit of a write-up, and we'll offer some suggestions to help your business kind of streamline your development process, streamline your code. We offer code reviews and code evaluations, which can help you get a handle on kind of what your system's doing. A lot of times when you come in on a legacy system, not a lot, sometimes you'll come in and there won't really be any documentation. And so the way that you have to approach that scenario in a modernization sense or in a strategic roadmap sense is you need to go in and evaluate what the system is right now. Again, with the roadmap, where are we and where we want to get to, and what are the benefits and the ROI if I choose to make this investment in my legacy system. That's one thing that we like to identify right up front for all the stakeholders. We believe that if you make this change in the code, or if we shift your architecture over to here, it's going to cost $5,000, we believe that the ROI is you're gonna increase your ROI because you're gonna limit your security risk, and your code is going to run better, and maybe you're not stuck on Linux anymore, and you can deploy to Windows, or you can deploy into the cloud, or you can set yourself up to go to the cloud migration strategy, which we'll cover here in a second. So that's kind of legacy system modernization. And again, that's not a rewrite. I think when I hear that word, I think rewrite, but that's not necessarily, I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen, but that's not the direction we're going here. There are ways to modernize your legacy system without doing complete rewrite, for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to completely rebuild the system. All right, Tasha, next slide. All right, dive in a little bit more into custom software development. You want to go ahead and go to the next one? All right. So first, let me give you an overview of kind of where we are on the custom software development. Custom software development kind of covers a broad range of topics, including automation, actually building a website, or building an application, or building a mobile app, or building different types of applications, or building out an API that integrates with your backend system so that you can integrate better with a third-party provider, or people can pay you and then use your API. So it includes any type of development where we're not. And actually, it even includes development where we're working with an off-the-shelf product, such as Microsoft Dynamics, right? So in Dynamics, you can integrate and you can build components that run inside of Dynamics. So that's definitely custom software development, but kind of consider that not, it's not completely new. We're not, creating a new project, deploying it to a new server. We're basically just enhancing an existing product that you like. Another area where custom software development comes in play is building kind of what I like to call middleware components that kind of run in the middle of things. And so that could be a software where maybe we expose an API with a couple of endpoints, and then we do a deep integration with Microsoft Dynamics via those APIs, right? So that API endpoint is there. Dynamics pushes some information, and then the API goes out and does some processing work for you. Maybe you get orders in as an XML document, and then it gets posted to Dynamics, and then Dynamics can send that order over to the API endpoint, and the API endpoint can begin processing that order. It's kind of a microservice concept there, but you can kind of see where kind of the umbrella of custom software development is basically kind of any development to improve the efficiency, functioning, return on investment for an organization, and help out kind of the bottom line. At Atmosoft, we offer expert development teams, and we offer those at scale. And what do you mean by that? What I mean by we offer this at scale is you can come in and you can contract me for 1 hour, 10 hours, 80 hours, 100 hours, whatever you want. And then while I'm coming in and doing the work, let's just say we got a request to come in and we want to do a strategic roadmap. And we're coming in and we're evaluating your system, and we're taking a look, and we're building up a proposal, and we build out kind of a project plan to get you from point A to point B, and we present you with the proposal, and then we say in the proposal that we need 2 additional resources to do the work in the time that we've identified, and so we can go from me just being engaged in your project to bringing on other members of the team that have extensive background of working with each other. I think this is critical, and I think a lot of people kind of don't see the value in. As a consultant, we're always getting dropped in, and we're getting dropped in with other teams, and that's fine, and that's great, and we love working that model. But it is so much more efficient to be able to just drop into a project, start doing work, and reach out to the client, say, listen, I believe we need a UI UX person to help us design the front end of this application, and we can go immediately grab that resource and just slot her into the project, because we've worked together on 5-10 projects in the past. We're familiar with each other's work, we know each other's capabilities, and we know the speed at which we can get work done. So it's faster, improved communication, because we've been working together for years, and it leads to a lower overall cost for the solution. And everyone at Atmosoft is vetted in their expertise. If you come to us and you say, I need a senior Java guy, we have contacts. We have senior Java guys. We'll get a senior Java guy to work with you on your project. And then everyone is vetted, and they've been tested and tried and true. And then when Tasha's done with the UI UX work, instead of typically when I engage in a contract project, we'll go in and we'll say, let's just say the contract project has a duration of 3 months. I'll go in for 3 months. Sometimes that gets extended, and you stay a little bit longer to finish some stuff up, but most of the time try to keep in the time box. I'll go in for 3 months, and then I'll leave. With resources at Atmosoft, we'll if you need a UI UX person for 1 day, we'll give you the UI UX resource for 1 day, and then you're not paying for a UI UX consultant or contractor to come in and say, okay, typically most consultants and contractors, I won't say all, but I'll say most, typically most consultants and contractors don't really want to take on a short-term contract, which I identify as kind of less than 30 days, right? It takes a lot of effort to find a job. It takes a lot of effort to get into a contract. So most contractors are looking for the right rate and the right duration, because you don't want to start a contract, work for a month, and then you're already out, 2 weeks in, and you're already out having to look for another job, redo all the interviews, redo all the resume postings, that kind of thing. You don't have any of that hiccup with us, because we can bring in resources on demand. The term that's floating around the industry right now is fractional. So it's called fractional development. And we offer that model. So, you're only going to pay for what you use, for what you need. And we're one of, I think, 3 companies I know of that basically let you hire expertise by the hour. So you can come into us and you could say, I want to check out this architecture, and I want to see what expert development team looks like. Can you come in and help us for 4 hours? And we'll get you a resource for 4 hours. And if you need additional resources, cloud resources, COBOL programmer, Java programmers, I mean, whatever type of need you need. Your company's interested in machine learning, and you want to see if something's applicable, we have machine learning specialists on staff. We can ramp those guys up, and then when you're done, or when there's not a need for it anymore, you can scale the resources back down and continue moving forward with the project on your pace, on your schedule, on your budget. One of the things that I think we kind of backed away from a long time ago, there was a development methodology called waterfall. Waterfall was all upfront planning and projections and tasks, and you did all that work up front, and then when you got your project plan developed, the developers went into a back room or into their offices or into their cubicles for the next 6 months, and then came back out, and you had a product, and the majority of time it was not exactly what you wanted, and you basically had no idea what you were getting, because there wasn't any check-in points or that kind of thing throughout the process, and so you kind of threw your money there, and you're not happy with what you ended up with, and then you go through kind of another cycle. As we've moved into the agile era, which is constant feedback, iterations, and spinning, we kind of stepped away from that hardcore of defining what all the requirements were and breaking them out into different tasks. What our definition and what we're talking about, a comprehensive requirements analysis, is we come in and we talk with you, and we talk with stakeholders, and we talk with the customers, and we evaluate what you need, because sometimes what you think you need isn't always what you actually need, right? So what is the goal and the objective of this project? We want to add a custom warranty screen to our website so that our customer service representatives can go in and manually add contracts to the website and get those contracts registered and over to our accounting system, right? And so we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at the process, and we're going to look at the why behind what the business wants to do, and evaluate, and then give you honest feedback on okay, this is what you're asking for. This is the amount of work that we think it will take to complete that task, and this is how long we think it will take us to do this. But it's important to understand, and I think a lot of development shop, or not development shops, but a lot of development teams kind of miss this. Is kind of the why behind why you're making changes, or why you're adding this feature, or why you're adding that feature. And I think understanding the why kind of helps everyone just get a better idea of what you're doing. So when we talk about comprehensive requirements analysis, the business has a need, and we're going to go in and figure out, is that need what they actually want, number one, or sorry, is that need actually, or is what they want what they actually need? Like, is this particular requirement going to meet the business need, or do we need to dive deeper and figure out that, oh no, it's not actually this requirement, it's what we actually need is, better integration with Salesforce. And if we better integrate with Salesforce, then we can increase ROI, because we have this integration with Salesforce now, and we're not having to put data into two systems and that kind of thing. Versus, oh, let's just redo the warranty input screen, right? Maybe it's not the warranty input screen that needs to be redone. Maybe it's that the way the current warranty screen is being displayed and interacting is not that data doesn't need to maybe reside in that database. Maybe it's that data just needs to go directly to Salesforce, and then there is no middleman, or and we're not hosting it in another database, and we're kind of consolidating our team. So it's important to understand the why, and that's part of what the comprehensive requirements analysis does. It helps us understand why the business is wanting to implement this particular technology feature, so we can help guide them to the best possible solution for the lowest cost, right? Like we don't want to pitch you a solution that's exorbitantly expensive and then move on from that. We want to kind of come in and make sure it's what the business needs, and then give you some options on how to get that done. One of the in our software, when we do the requirements analysis, we then go back and kind of discuss, if sometimes the UI is not relevant, because maybe you're working on an API, maybe you're working on that, but all of our, actually, no, this even applies to the UI, because I think the user experience of everything, including it, kind of applies to the API, right? We want to make sure that the consumers of whatever page or single page application or API, we want to make sure that the user experience around integrating with, using, and consuming that is rock solid. Like, we're following, industry standard best practices for forms. We have, the correct accessibility in for the website. The API is easy to consume and it makes sense, right? Like a lot of times you'll hear a lot of talk about microservices these days, and it's awesome, right? Okay, I'm not dogging on the microservices pattern, but it is important to note that maybe that's not right for your company, because that's just the current buzzword, right? But in the case of microservices, maybe you need to add, maybe around user-centric design, maybe someone having to call 6 services just to get the order information is not the best user-centric design. So we would come in and we would recommend, let's put up an API management layer in front of this to consolidate those calls. So we'll put up a new endpoint that's called get orders that will make those 6 calls to your 6 different microservices, collect all that information, put it together, and then ship it back to the client. So that's when we talk about user-centric design, that's what we're talking about. We want to consider the whole picture. And user-centric design also comes in with how you design and build your software. It also comes in with how you design and deploy it. It also comes in with consideration for maintenance in mind. if I write crappy code, and so, which I don't, if I write crappy code and then someone else has to come in and maintain that code and they can't understand what I did I do a good job? No, I didn't do a good job. That's not good user-centric design, right? I delivered the end product worked, the company is happy, but now they have this invisible technical debt that they didn't have any clue that they kind of agreed to take on, right? It's also our job to point that out too. But if I deliver code that is not easy to maintain, not easy to deploy, not easy to update, tightly coupled, with a lot of redundancies, if someone comes in behind me and they can't immediately just jump in and start working for the system, then you weren't doing user-centric design around your code, and you weren't considering all factors of your code, including deployment, maintenance, and writing. So the other option under custom software development is kind of looking at scalability and flexibility. and this kind of all boils down to cost. So for example, if you're hosted in the cloud and you need to scale up, that's super easy to do, but that comes at a cost. If you're in your local environment and you need to scale up, that comes, in my opinion, it can come with considerably more of a cost. But we design our software with our custom software solutions with scalability and flexibility in mind. So let's just say we come into an organization and we're doing an integration, and we built out an API, and they've decided that they're going to allow access to this API by a third party. So what would we do here for scalability and flexibility? So the API, in this case, if scalability and flexibility were something that was important, and in some cases, and this is not a bad thing, in some cases your software runs on one machine. It runs on IIS, and maybe you have a separate database server. Maybe you have a separate database server, and or maybe the database server is on the same machine, and you're just deploying. That's okay. That there's nothing wrong with that. If that works for you and your organization, is it a super best practice? No, but is it like the end of the world and you should always avoid it? And someone did it, they did bad code. No, that is absolutely not true. But that's going to be harder to scale. So scalability and flexibility are something you need. Then we shift into developing our software and deploying them in something called containers, Docker containers. So we containerize it, and then the way that you scale and flex with containers is you put your container into a Kubernetes cluster, and then you can scale as many containers up as you need to handle the load, and then scale down when you're not using that. The cloud makes this super easy to do, but again, there is an added cost on the cloud, so you need to keep that in consideration. And you also need to evaluate whether you actually need it. I know websites that service thousands of requests of API XML, not short XML, big huge XML documents that gets generated like every minute, like thousands of them, like 4 or 5 a second, right? All day, every day, 24 hours a day. So what does your SLA, service level agreement? What does your application need to do? We need our application up, 24/7 and 365, and we cannot be down. Okay, so you design and you build with scalability and flexibility in that design. We can tolerate a little bit of downtime, so then maybe you don't have automated pipeline here is not a good example, but maybe you don't need that, right? Or maybe you're selling concert tickets, you're Ticketmaster, and you're working on Ticketmaster's back end, and the new Taylor Swift concert is coming up, and whenever Taylor Swift has a new concert, you need to go from, one container to 50 containers to handle the load. That's definitely a cloud would be a little bit easier. The infrastructure cost for doing that without the cloud would probably be cost prohibitive, but I would definitely recommend the cloud in that scenario. But you need to identify those kind of things, and we help you work through and understand where you're going to need that. If you have variable load, then you need the availability to scale up and scale down. That will help you minimize costs. If I'm in a cloud environment and I'm running containers and I have three containers running, and they're servicing or 3 nodes, whatever, and they're servicing API requests. But most of the time, only one container is being used, maybe at 25%. You're wasting money on the other two. You need to identify those points. You need to scale it down, down to the one, because ideally you want your containers to being used as much as possible before you move to another container, and then you can slowly go up if you need to, kind of over time. But you gotta build with that vision in mind, kind of right up front. All right, next one, Tate. All right, integration. This is one of my favorites. I don't think we do enough of this, and I think moving forward in the future, this is going to be a much bigger deal. So I think moving forward in the future, you'll see a slight decline. Oh, excuse me. You'll see a slight decline in custom software development, and an increase in systems that need to talk to each other. Use a bad example, but I need QuickBooks to talk to my website for some reason, right? Or a better example is I have a dealer management software package that integrates with the open provider network, or we call it PEN, and that allows me to sell extended warranty products through my dealer management system when a customer is buying and financing a vehicle. And so I need better integration with PIN, or I need to be able to, or my DMS kind of switched up. PIN is going to take 10 weeks to get this update to get all of my extended warranties. I know extended warranties are a big sell factor for dealers, as far as the markup on them is fairly large, and so it's a good profit center for dealers. So extended warranties are definitely something you want to be able to sell. And maybe you have a particular warranty company that you work with it's giving you a killer deal, and then PEN, the open provider network, is telling you, oh, it's going to take us 4 to 8 weeks to make this change, and maybe that would cause you to miss out on the sale, or something like that. There are strategies that you can use to get that integration done on your time and be less dependent on them kind of making those changes. And that would be an example of automotive dealership to a third party extended warranty provider kind of integration. The other thing you could do with the integration is basically seamless data transfer. What that means is we're looking specifically here. We want to reduce data duplication, and we want to increase visibility of data across the enterprise. So that could mean that maybe we're using two systems right now. Let's imagine we're using our DMS, and then we have our accounting system, and they're both serving and doing their functions well. But I don't have a consolidated view of the data in my accounting system versus my dealer management system. And a seamless data transfer could be as simple as, we're going to set up these nightly processes that are going to run, or we're going to set up these batch processes that are going to run, where we're going to collect the data from over here, and we're going to collect the data from the DMS, and then we're going to collect the data from the the accounting system, and then we're going to merge these into a database so we can get a consolidated reporting, so we can get a reporting view that's kind of consolidated. If both of these systems kind of have APIs that you can integrate with, that's ideal, because you can even put up a middle API layer for your reporting that goes and queries the accounting system, and then goes and queries the dealer management system, gets the data, and then puts it together, kind of packages it together, and gives you some information back for you to be consumed by your reports, or kind of moved in. I kind of like, typically, it's part of the reason why the show is called It Depends, but it kind of depends on the scenario. But I kind of like the kind of the ETL transfer and load to give me a unified view of data for reporting across the enterprise. Another important thing that I think a lot of people don't consider is process automation. If you have team members who are going out and they are doing the same thing every day, exactly the same thing. Ben over in accounting goes out every day and downloads this CSV file, places it in this directory, and then goes and runs this app, and then goes and checks over here. And that's Ben's first 2 hours every morning. So for 2 hours a day, let's say Ben makes $60,000 a year, right? So let's say Ben makes $60,000 a year. So that's $30 an hour. That's $60 every day that you're spending for Ben to go out, grab the spreadsheet, drop it in a directory, click this button over here, and then verify the process. That process can be automated. And then that, you know what, not only does it improve your ROI on with Ben, right? Because you're no longer paying him. You can now allocate those 2 hours and Ben can do something more useful. There's a lot of work that people are doing that does, especially with the advent of ChatGPT. And anyone on here is ever interested in having a conversation about how ChatGPT can help your organization, I would love to have those conversations with you and see where you think it might make a good fit. It's an amazing tool, and the sky's the limit for what it can be able to do. But you're freeing up 2 hours of Ben's time. Now Ben can do some different work, and you can have Ben more focused on, instead of doing this manual task. So I think process automation is a key role, and I think people need to consider it. And you know, these process automation things are usually fairly cheap, right? So we're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars a month's worth of work. We're talking about, typically these kind of things, you come in, you look at the process, you analyze the process, you do a couple of interviews, you find out exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it, and then what the end result is, and then you go in and you write the automation in a couple of days and set it up to run, and you're kind of done. There are even platforms with things called agents that you could buy. What was the one I used recently? Not Blue Force. UiPath. UiPath is one of them. It's an awesome little tool. Works with .NET, so you can write custom little activity nodes, and the whole thing's super powerful. It has a recorder. There's another product that's actually free called Selenium that has a built-in web recorder to drive websites. You can use those tools for process automation. Say that part of Ben's process is to go in and go to this website and download this Excel sheet. You could automate that and just have it on his hard drive every morning before he comes into work, and save that 10 minutes and that login time and all of the things. All these little minutes add up. They add up to savings on your bottom line, and they add up and decreased productivity for your team. And then this is an important thing to consider. So if you're interested in process automation, definitely let's have a conversation, and we can help point you out in some areas where you can go in and maybe kind of roll your own stuff, or at least be aware of what the available options are. Number 3 here is collaboration across platforms. Again, this would be kind of a deep integration between multiple systems, 1 to n number, up to as many as you need to integrate with, where we're kind of consolidating and we're pulling all your data and we're giving you kind of a unified view. The third option is future proofing. And what we mean by that is, again, as legacy systems age, we get systemic entropy that sets in, and by doing a little bit of work now, and by doing a little bit of integration, you can work towards phasing out your legacy system. You can work on improving it and minimizing your risk with the legacy system, and improve processing and functioning of your organization. So when we say future proofing, we're kind of talking about kind of updating things, kind of extending the life of your legacy system for a little bit, and helping you kind of develop a roadmap to either migrate away from your existing legacy system. Maybe you want to move on to another platform on the warranty side, like PCRS. You want them to do your extended warranty. It's a great platform, and getting your applications future proofed kind of helps you get ready to either move off or improve and extend. So move off is always an option. It's something every organizations should consider if you have options out there. Sometimes you just need the custom software. You just need this one thing to do this one thing, and then everything is rainbows, and that's what you need, and that's okay. But at times too, you need to consider whether we want to keep our Atmosoft development partner on hand to be able to support this, or if we want to get out of doing custom software entirely. So that's kind of where the future proofing piece kind of comes in. All right, next slide. Cloud migration. This is one of my favorites too. All right. So I'm sure everyone here is kind of aware, but just in case you're not, the cloud is basically someone else's computer. I have a really cool T-shirt about this. It says there is no cloud; it's just someone else's computer. That's just you have a provider like the big ones are Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. There are a couple other ones out there playing in there. I think IBM has one. I think there's another cloud provider, but those three big ones with AWS and Azure being the two biggest, followed by Google Cloud or GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. And what the cloud is just removes you having to buy and maintain servers and hardwares internal to your organization. I'm not saying, I think at this point, as it kind of evolved and the cloud craze is kind of went up, and we're kind of not on a downward trend on adoption, but we're kind of, the craze is kind of settling a little bit. And I think people are starting to see that the cloud is awesome, but maybe I don't want to have my organization 100% dependent on a third party provider in order to run and do business. So I think we're seeing a lot of companies adopt more of a cloud hybrid approach. And what that is we're going to use some cloud stuff and we're going to use some internal stuff and we're going to get them communicating together, and we're going to get data flowing where it needs to flow. And we're going to kind of use, I don't want to say spillover, but that's the word that's coming to mind. We're going to kind of use the cloud as kind of a spillover, so we can add additional features and so we can, increase our flexibility and scale. But we're not going to be 100%. All of our VMs are going over the cloud. We're not going to have any servers internal to the organization. So the first one here is the cloud readiness assessment, which boils down to going in and looking at your existing infrastructure, your existing applications, your existing technical engine, and how it drives your organization. And then the output of that is we produce a document with recommended services and items that you should consider moving to the cloud, where the business may see some benefit or can help increase their bottom line. Maybe you have a giant server and you're kind of maxed out on CPU and RAM. You don't want to throw any more money at the hardware, but you still need the ability to be able to add different VMs or different services, and that's where you would kind of consider the cloud. So instead of dumping immediate cost into buying new hardware, which is amortized over multiple years, as far as deductions on your taxes, you can take an immediate, I think it's called a capital expenditure if you're using cloud services. So you immediately, you don't have to take that cost over years. You can take that tax benefit for that immediately. And so we take all that stuff into consideration. We look at your existing organization, again, where you are, where you want to go, and then we provide you an assessment on maybe some things that you need to do before you move to the cloud, items to consider, as well as these are the items that we think you would benefit from using in the cloud space. The step 2 of that is helping you develop a plan and strategy to get those resources into the cloud. And identify any new resources that you may need to spin up to improve the function of your organization. One of the neatest features of cloud is the concept of serverless. And in Azure, you could throw up, Azure function does some quick processing for you, plug that into your pipeline, and kind of have some code running off, crunching spreadsheets, or that can scale and do 10,000 spreadsheets at once, versus we have to feed one spreadsheet to the API at a time, or we have to do multiple connections. And so there's a lot of neat features that you can use there that kind of integrate really well with your internal infrastructure and will help alleviate work that you're doing in your organization. Infrastructure optimization kind of comes up with point 2. So we look at your existing infrastructure internally and the resources that you have available internally, and then offer some solutions or some strategies around maybe considering why you would want to move some of that infrastructure into the cloud, and where you would see cost saving benefits by making that move. And then data migration being the last one. Again, the cloud is kind of becoming the hybrid cloud model is kind of becoming the for sure thing, and a lot of times you're going to need to take your existing data and you're going to need to get it into the cloud, and that's part of the services that we offer under our cloud strategies is helping you figure out how to get your data into the cloud, host it in the cloud, and then get it tied back into the enterprise and make it available for reporting. So it's kind of an ETL thing where maybe it's a one-time load, maybe you have nightly processes that are kind of updating, maybe you decided you didn't want to spend a lot of money on hardware and you wanted to just spin up a big machine in the cloud to do your data warehouse, and we can help with that as well. That kind of covers the data migration piece. And next slide. All right, everybody. Like to take a few minutes, see if anyone has any questions, and overall thank everyone for attending and kind of listening to some technical strategies that you should consider if you're an automotive dealership. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Do we have any questions?
I haven't seen any questions yet, but while we give them a chance to put in the questions in chat if they do have any, I just wanted to point out if at any point you wanted to have a more personalized look at your systems, you can schedule a free consultation at our website, www.atmosoft.com. You should be able to just scroll to the bottom and there's just a calendar area where you can enter in a free consultation, and we'll come in and you can tell us your pain points and we can tell you some strategies that we would go about it. It's a no pressure call. You could come to us and get our ideas and then go to someone else if you have someone else who you want to work on it. We're really just out here trying to help you get your systems better, whether that's with us or someone else. We just want to help make your technologies better for the whole industry. So
yes, yep, absolutely, 110%.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions coming in. So do you have any closing things that you want to say before we close out today?
Yeah, one more time, just want to thank everyone who attended for attending. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you think that maybe I was incomplete or said something wrong, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have conversations around my thought processes along this. We spent a lot of time doing this work and a lot of time thinking about it. And like Tasha said, at the end of the day, we want to help businesses kind of run better. Economy's kind of contracting a little bit, so everyone's running a little bit leaner. With inflation, with all the craziness going on right now. So we want to help the companies kind of slim down and survive. The headwinds, the storms, coming at us. And that's our goal and objective. It's just we love technology. Technology is amazing, and you can do some amazing things with it. But until you understand, kind of what you can do and kind of what the scope of the playing field is, it's kind of hard to figure out where technology can help your business, and that's where we come in. That's our job, to come in and show you. If you move into the cloud and you do XYZ, you can expect this return on investment because, you can expect this return on investment because you're reducing your costs over here and, you're automating this over there, and doing these different things can definitely have a positive effect on your organization. And oftentimes the solutions that you need are not as expensive as you think they would be. That doesn't require years of development to do the majority of things. You may engage somebody for years to do a particular project for you, but there's ways to get wins fast, and you could see a ROI pretty quickly.
Yeah. And then just to close us out today, I do want to say if at any point you do want to rewatch this to get more information, maybe you missed something or maybe you came in a little late to this, it will be on our YouTube channel, just free to watch whenever you want to. So that's just Atmosoft on YouTube as well. Also, it'll be on Twitch. If anyone's on Twitch watching this right now, it will be in the VOD section. So feel free to come back to this video whenever you feel like you need to. Other than that, I think I'm going to close us out today. Thank you everyone for joining, and remember to stay integrated and stay curious.
Yep. Bye, guys.